Are you a first-time home buyer in the Omaha real estate market? Are you tired of making offers and not getting your offer accepted? Well, in today's video, we're going to go over some strategies to get your offer accepted in today's market, and we're going to get started right now. My name is David Matney with Nebraska Realty. I'm a local realtor here in Omaha, Nebraska. Now, if you're interested in learning more about buying a home in the Omaha market, be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications. And if you're thinking about buying a home this year, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Now let's jump into today's topic. Let's talk briefly about the Omaha real estate market. Now, right now, we're in a strong seller's market in the $300,000 price point and below. This is much like last spring, except last spring, we had a lot of out-of-state institutional investors. Now, this year, it's the battle among the first-time home buyers. Currently in Douglas and Sarpy County, between $200,000 and $300,000, we only have 93 homes on the active market. That equates to about a 2-week supply of homes on the market. Now, why is this the case? Now, according to an article in Redfin News, 85% of homeowners with mortgages have an interest rate of below 5%. Homeowners who have a home at $250,000 at a 3% interest rate, when they sell, they become buyers at a 6% interest rate for a $500,000 home. They don't want to give up a great rate, and they're choosing to stay put. This is causing buyers at the entry-level market fight over what homes do become available. Here's another problem. Builders are not building homes at those lower price points. So the only sellers that are out there are those that absolutely have to sell. The Omaha market is also experiencing an influx of people relocating to the Omaha area from other states. Now, why is this the case? Well, they're attractive to our high quality of life here in the Midwest. Now, speaking of relocation, if you are relocating to the Omaha area and need any assistance, my contact information is in the description below. How do you get your offer accepted at that lower price point? Number one, you got to understand this. It's not always about price. It's about terms. I could offer you, let's say, $1 million for your home. That may not be the best deal, especially if the terms were $1 for the next million years. There are a lot of different factors at play. Okay, number one is the type of financing. Is it FHA, VA, or conventional financing? How much is the buyer financing? Does the buyer have 20% down payment, or is the buyer coming in with 3% down payment? Usually, the higher the down payment, typically the stronger the buyer. Another factor is the appraisal. Now, one of the requirements of getting a loan is an appraisal. The lender wants to protect their interest, and they're going to order an appraisal. This goes along with an appraisal, and that's going to be appraisal gap coverage. That means, let's say someone is buying a home and it's listed for $250,000, and the buyers offer $270,000. And if the home does not appraise for the purchase price, the buyer is willing to bring additional funds to closing to make up the difference. In order for the buyer to do that, the buyer has to have the funds available. And this is really important, and that is you got to find out what is important to the seller. Do the sellers need a certain closing date? Do they need additional time to move? Maybe the sellers don't want to do any repairs. If you know what's important to that seller, that'll help you and your agent structure your offer so it can be accepted. Another thing to keep in mind is the best strategy is sometimes to keep it simple. If you're at that price point and a home is new to the market and it's in a great area and you really want the home, just assume right from the jump you're in competition. Go in with your highest and best offer right from the start. If you're the very first offer, you might want to do an escalation clause. But if you already know that there's competition, go in at the amount that if it sells for $1 more, you're perfectly fine with not buying the home. Okay, let's talk about inspections. Now, this comes back to your risk tolerance. If you're buying a home, I'm a huge proponent of doing any and all inspections. However, in a highly competitive market, opting to do an inspection may mean losing the house. You have to assess how much risk you're willing to take. If you opt to do an inspection, understand that even if the inspection is for informational purposes and the seller is not going to make any repairs, the buyer can sometimes move the goalposts and say to the seller, well, hey, I'm going to walk away unless you repair this. And here's the other thing too. You got to understand that the best time to submit your best offer is before you lost the deal. If you submit an offer and let's say you find out you didn't win and you say, well, hey, what if I remove the home inspection? You might only have one chance to do that. And you want to make sure that you do that before your offer is rejected. Now, understand this. Unfortunately, FHA and VA buyers are at a distinct disadvantage in this type of market. FHA loans are a great program for first-time home buyers. FHA loans have a requirement called the FHA Amendatory Clause. This is a document that gives FHA buyers a little extra protection to cancel the contract if the home doesn't appraise for the agreed upon purchase price. Also, one of the requirements with FHA financing is that the home must be safe, secure, and structurally sound. That means things like missing handrails, tripping hazards, chipped or peeling paint, cracked windows, structural or foundation problems, or roofs with less than 2 years of life left. For VA loans, buyers face the same problem. For VA loans, there's a document called a VA escape clause. This protects the buyer and says that if the home doesn't appraise, the buyer does not have to complete the purchase. Again, the VA is going to require the home to be safe, sound, and secure. That means that even if you're buying a home as is with no inspections, if it's FHA or VA financing, the lender could still require certain repairs to be done in order to receive your financing. Now, these next tactics involve how much money you have. So if you really want to lock in the deal, here are some other things you can do. Number one, you can offer to pay some of the seller's closing costs or moving costs. Last year, I had a seller receive an additional $10,000 from the buyers to help with the seller's moving costs. Again, this is going to depend on if you have the money, and that is you can waive the appraisal completely. Now, if you're doing FHA or VA financing, you can't waive the appraisal. Now, last year, I had this happen, and that is number 3, let the seller have post-occupancy for free. They gave that seller 4 months to occupy for free. Number 4, offer the seller a bonus upon acceptance of the offer. Number 5, make the earnest money a hefty, non-refundable, and transfer within 72 hours of an accepted offer directly to the seller. This deposit is non-refundable unless the sellers default on the contract. We talked about this earlier, and this involves the appraisal gap coverage. If the home does not appraise, the buyers will pay for the gap between the appraised value and the purchase price. Now, this number 7 is going to be offer an odd amount. Let's say the home is listed for $225 and your top dollar is $250. Chances are there's going to be another buyer in a similar position will have a top dollar of $250 too. So if you can offer an odd amount like $251,000 or $250,500, this could help break a tie if 2 offers top out at $250. Another opportunity is with for sale by owners. Sometimes a for sale by owner may not get as many offers, and many for sale by owners will also agree to terms that you may not get if the home was listed with an agent. Here's another thing too. If you see a home with a dumpster out in front or maybe a vacant house, there's nothing wrong with leaving a note on the door. And you might just get lucky. I had a buyer do that this year, left a note on a vacant property, and lo and behold, he got a call and we were able to put a deal together. And that note was probably worth $25,000. And here's the other thing too, and this is very frustrating. And if you're a buyer right now, don't give up. Do the very best that you can. Okay. Some people just simply don't have the cash to throw at the seller. It's a numbers game. Keep this in mind too. It's okay to take a break. And remember, sometimes you got to zig when everybody else zags. Maybe this isn't the absolute best time for you, but there's one thing that's certain in real estate, and that is the real estate market will change. So hang in there. Eventually it'll work in your favor.